Have you ever thought about investing in an Airbnb property because you see a bunch of other people on TikTok making a ton of money? I started about 2 years ago on Airbnb. We now have 4 properties and average a cash flow over $30,000 per month. And here's a breakdown of the 10 simple steps for you to get started on Airbnb. And just for reference, one property can cash flow you multiple $1,000s per month, and you don't need a ton of money to get started depending on which strategy you want to go with. So let's dive in. Oh, and if you appreciate this content and transparency, please follow along. I appreciate it. Step number 1, identify markets that you're interested in. And this often starts with Google searching on high tourism areas. It sounds silly, but I literally start with that search, and you can look on all sorts of different websites. Then I go over to AirDNA and I look at a market. It gives me a market grade. You can look at historical occupancy rates, average daily rates, so the amount you pay to rent the place per night. And you can literally look at the top properties in a given market and look at every single one of them on a map. So it'll tell you exactly how much they made. Step number 2, select which strategy you're going to start with. This is either going to be buy and hold or rental arbitrage. You can also co-host. We're not going to talk about that here. Buy and hold is what you typically think, put a down payment on the house. Rental arbitrage is when you're going to create an LLC, establish a corporate housing company, and then approach landlords or homeowners to sign a corporate lease agreement to basically sublet on Airbnb. Step number 3, perform a detailed investment analysis. Take the emotion out of it. You got the investment details, forecasted revenue, operating expenses, and ultimately the operating income and the cash flow. And lastly, the cash on cash return. My minimum cash on cash return requirement is 25%. You can also do a rental arbitrage cash flow analysis. Again, it's a very similar sheet, but it's different because we're renting and not buying. Some expenses may be a little bit different. Again, it still gives you the cash on cash return. Step 4, this is really more for buy and holds, but get pre-approved by a lender. So reach out to multiple lenders, start giving them the information that they need, and they can give you loan estimates. Step number 5, and once you secure the property, whether it's buy and hold or arbitrage, we need to furnish it. This is where most people make the biggest mistake, is going bare bones on the furniture. You need to furnish it in a way to stand out from competition. Airbnb is all about click rate. So why should somebody click your property and want to learn more about it and ultimately book that place? Step number 6 is to get professional photos. Do not go in there with your phone, even though the phones can take decent pictures now. Get professional photographer that focuses on. Step number 7, you need to interview multiple cleaners, handyman, or maintenance services. The cleaners are going to be the number 1 part of your team. You need to establish really good communication with them and understand their process. Have they ever done Airbnbs, and can they do same-day turns? Step number 8 is to build your listing on Airbnb and VRBO or whatever other site you want to use. Step number 9 is to set up a property management software. I use Your Porter, but you can also use Guesty or SmartBnB or others out there. I also recommend using Price Labs to automate your pricing strategy. Step 10, publish your listing.